Hi, this is Eric Schlappi with Schlappi Engineering, and I'm going to talk about percussion synthesis. Here are the modules I have chosen to demonstrate percussion synthesis. The body, a basic triangle core VCO, 4Q used as a VCA, sine folder, a sinusoidal wave folder, maths, used as a dual envelope with mixer in this case, weld, which is a dual VCA, interstellar radio used as a noise source, and the DPW limit used as a compressor. I'm also using the W&D Metron for sequencing, the angle grinder for modulation, and the 4MS DLD for delay in the very last part of the video. You need 2 envelopes, 1 oscillator, and 1 VCA. So the first maths channel is a pitch envelope. The second maths channel is the volume envelope. Without any pitch envelope, the sounds are pretty boring. You can use 1 envelope for both, but I find it limiting. So with the pitch envelope, you can get your disco toms, but if you set it really tight, and also your laser kicks, or if you set it really tight, that pitch will just give you a nice click. Channel 1 on the Metron is doing the volume envelope. Channel 2 is doing the pitch envelope. Right now, both are always hitting on the same steps. But if we add some extra volume steps, you can get some accents. And now if we add some of the extra pitch envelopes, we have a dynamic sequence. So when you hit a real drum, usually at the beginning there's lots of harmonics which fade out over time. One way to simulate this is by adding a wave shaper, a wave folder, or a filter so that the timbre evolves over time. I'm going to use a wave folder to do this. So now I'm running the output of our VCA into our wave folder, with the VCA controlling the depth of the folding and our VCA envelope. Now controls the shape of the fold. This allows us to reach a different class of techno kicks, and synthetic zaps. One of many other options is to use a VCA over FM being applied to the oscillator instead. When doing percussion synthesis, you generally only need an attack decay envelope. though more stages can be used if necessary. It also helps to have control over envelope shape instead of being restricted to just linear or exponential. And it's even better to have independent control over the shape of the attack and decay. You can see our pitch envelope is in green, our volume envelope is in red, and our output is in yellow. I'm using slightly exponential envelopes for both of them, which gives you a snappy attack and kind of a long decay. But if they get too exponential, the decay will ring out for a really long time. Percussion synthesis for snares, hats, and cymbals is even easier. Just a noise source, a VCA, and an envelope. And the shape of the envelope will determine whether it sounds more like a hat, a snare, a cymbal, or possibly the ocean. I'm going to use my interstellar radio as a noise source and another maths as an envelope. Starting with 0 attack and a very short decay, we can get something like a hi-hat sound. If we bring our decay up and our attack up, we can get something that's more like cymbal washes. Or the ocean. Back to our hi-hat clicks. Let's add something that's more like a hi-hat pattern. Then we use the angle grinder as an LFO to modulate the decay time. That gives us a dynamic hi-hat pattern. I'm now taking a second envelope and patching it into one of the pitch CVs of the interstellar radio. And patching the interstellar radio's output back to its input. That brings us to a general percussion synthesis patch. If you add the shape noise to the tonal patch, then you have more options in your kicks and you can do something like add snares and toms. So now I'm triggering the noise channel at the same time as the oscillator. Next step is to add some compression. Pretty much essential for a hard kick drum, I think. We are running the last patch through the DPW limit, which is kind of hidden underneath all these cables. With the gain set low, we basically have our kick drum. But as we push it, the dynamics get squashed and it starts to distort. Patch interesting, you want to modulate the different parameters. Attack and decay are good, also the pitch of any tonal source. So now I'm starting with my previous patch, except I've sent LFOs to the pitch decay, the attack and decay for the hi-hat, and an additional envelope for the kick envelope decay. I've separated the triggers for the tonal and for the noise patches and modulated the attack and decay of each one, essentially creating two different voices. Now I've enabled some delay. Those are some pretty basic synthesis patches. There are certainly other options like dedicated modules and self-oscillated filters. You can use things like samplers or this patch is similar to how the 909 kick and snare and is generated, but the 909 cymbals are samples. The 808s use ringing filters, which are pretty much dedicated drum modules. They have some other There's ways to simulate it, but you pretty much want the you pretty much want an 808 module if you're trying to get exactly that sound. There are things like the Bastel T-Kick, which are the 808 kick circuit, but also allow you to use it as a filter, which is pretty cool. Thanks again, and if you have any questions, let me know.